Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are. I hope you're having a blessed day or you've had a blessed day. To begin with, first thing I want to do is explain the thumbnail because a lot is going on in there. But you have to understand one thing first. I'm not a entertainer, and I'm not trying to entertain you. My goal is to give you information. My goal is to lead you to the spiritual waters, not insist that you drink, but let you know where the spiritual waters are so that when you get thirsty, you will know where to go. Now let's begin. Spiritual philosophy is actually African spirituality. It is what we studied in Africa. We were spiritual people. We were not, as you know, Christians. We were not Muslims, and we were not Buddhists to an extent. And what we studied was spiritual philosophy is the philosophy of the gods. Why is it called the philosophy of the God? Because our belief system, a belief system is a religion, and our belief system was to have the characteristics of God. To have the characteristics of God, and to have the characteristics of God is to be civilized. We were a civilized people. We had done away with wars. And the wars that we did get into was to defend ourselves from countries like Persia, the Greeks, and the Romans, who we tried to civilize, and it hasn't worked in thousands and thousands of years. Now, the Bible is our history. And in the Bible, it teaches us the basics to incorporate the characteristics of God in our life. But first, we need a base. And that base that we found in the Bible was first the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments taught us how to live a civilized life with respect for humanity, where no one would ever go hungry. There were no prisons in Kemet, which is now Egypt. And understand this, the people who built the pyramids and the temples in Egypt were Kemetians. They were not Egyptians. Egyptians are grave robbers. Now, the Bible gave us the Ten Commandments. It also gave us a diet for the purification of the soul, which is do not eat pork, do not eat fish that are scavengers without scales, do not eat those, and do not eat shellfish, because they are also scavengers, and you are what you eat. And then the Bible even goes further in Deuteronomy 22 verse 5 and tells you that homosexuality is an abomination. So it is those three things that we must do first for the purification of the soul. I also told you in previous videos that to protect yourself from evil, you have to say the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer is what Yahshua told the disciples to do when he was gone, to say the Lord's Prayer. So every night, with whatever prayer you say, make sure you say the Lord's Prayer with it every night. Then you have, I think it's Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You should say this when you are in the confines of evil people. If you have a job and it is full of racists, then every day you walk in, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And in there it said, he maketh me a table in within my enemies. So that's Psalms 23. When you are in a negative situation, say, the Lord is my shepherd. Now, I'm going to say this real quick, and then I'm going to get to the subject matter. Like I told you, the Bible is the basic of spiritual philosophy, the philosophy of the gods. But if you want to take it further, then you could read the books by Hermes Trismegistus. But Hermes Trismegistus, his name is actually Thoth. He was an Egyptian pharaoh. And the books he wrote were the Kybalion. Some people pronounce it Kibulon. And then he wrote the Divine Pymander. Some people pronounce it Poimander. And then he wrote the Emerald Tablets. And you can, the Kybalion and the Poimander, you can order, and that will get you started. There's also a book that you can get. It's called, now I want you to understand this, that Yahshua was a student of the philosophy of the gods, and he was a student of Sumerians. Sumerians were black. He studied the Kybalion. He also, to attain the powers that he had to have studied the Divine Pymander, and he must have studied, and if you understand, this is the stolen legacy. And this tells how our belief system or religion was stolen, usurped, and it has been misappropriated for the purpose of enslaving us. Now, understand this. The fourth principle in the Kybalion is the law of polarity. So I want to explain to you polarity, and I'm going to use water as an example. Polarity is about changing the degrees of a thing. It is about changing the degree, but a thing still is what it is. But when you change the degree, you change the nature of a thing. When water is boiled to a hot temperature, it becomes steam. When water is dropped down to a low temperature, it is ice. But it is still what? It is still water. Understand this. You can have soft and sensitive love, and you can have tough love. And it depends on the situation, which one is needed. If you're going to make tea, you want hot water. If you want to make a cold beverage, you need cold water. And if the water is warm, you want to add ice. It's the same thing with love. There comes a time when it is a necessity to give soft love, tender love to a child. And there comes a time when you have to give tough love to a teenager or a grown-up when they start to go off on their own, and if they start to create chaos in your life. Chaos is evil. Chaos is the nature of evil. Chaos is when people do evil things that are uncivilized. And then you must bring order. Order is godly. Order is good. And when you are placed in a chaotic situation, you either leave or you try to bring order to that situation. And how do you bring order to a situation? Justice. See, justice is a form of love also. But understand this. Love begins with self-love. You have to have self-love first before you can love others. If you don't love yourself, it is totally impossible to love someone else. You can't get truth out of a lie. You must begin with truth first. And then truth can't evolve into a lie. It can be twisted into a lie. So understand that. But the main thing I want you to understand is that revenge is love. Revenge is tough love. You don't let people misuse you if you love yourself first. You don't let people misuse you because you have to love yourself first before you can love others. And if a person is stealing from you, then obviously they don't love themselves, because they know good and well that they are running the risk of being what? Of being harmed and have revenge taken on them. And revenge is love, because it does what? It brings about justice. And to bring about justice, you bring about order. And all of these things are about love. Chaos is evil. Love is order. So I'm not going to beat around the bush with this, because I want you to think about this yourself. You see, you have to bring knowledge to the table to pick up knowledge, or you won't understand it. You have to bring a certain amount of common sense anywhere you go so that it can be added to. Truth adds up to intelligence and then wisdom. Lies will always deduct and bring you down into chaos and ignorance. Let me ask you a question. Are lies intelligent? The question is rhetorical. And if you're sitting there trying to think of a situation where lies bring about intelligence, then this is not a channel for you, because you want what you want and you are not interested in the truth, or you just want to try to make yourself smarter than the next person, which makes no sense. But in closing, I'm going to add something, and I want you to think about this. The opposite of love is fear, not hate. The opposite of love is fear. Why? Because the things you love are the things you want to be around. The things you fear are the things you want nothing to do with. The opposite of hate is desire. Because the things you hate, you want to destroy. The things you desire, you want more of. Think about it. In the meanwhile, if you agree with what I'm saying, then you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to like. You can just look me up, check out the videos, and then go on about your business, because I don't have a Patreon. And I'm not trying to, I'm not going to even pretend to try to force myself on you. God provides me with everything that I need. I do my videos off the top of my head. There may be mistakes in there. But if you are paying attention, then you will recognize the mistakes. But even with that being said, don't take my word for anything. Research it. Because if you can't prove a thing, if you can't prove knowledge, then that knowledge is not yours until you can prove it. Talk to you later. and have a blessed day.